Kicking off this morning, we have with us the person who was responsible for ensuring the adoption of the EU's General Data Protection Regulation, and who negotiates with non-EU countries to protect the privacy of EU citizens wherever they live. Please give a warm welcome to EU Commissioner Vera Jourova. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to speak at what is probably the best global event on privacy. Our colleagues from the European Data Protection Supervisor and Mr. Buttarelli personally have done a very impressive job organizing it at attracting so many distinguished guests I see here now in front of me. I heard you had 4 very productive days, or this is the 4th one, and I am very curious about the results of your discussions, because we are together here speaking about the future of the world. I am not, I think, exaggerating, because the issues of privacy are becoming a very important global political issue and ethical issue. Today the talks will be about ethics, which is a very good idea. This is a very special year for data protection globally, but for the EU in particular. The EU's robust new rules at last became a reality in May this year, when the General Data Protection Regulation began to apply. I will use the acronym GDPR, if you don't mind. Now everyone's focus is on applying the rules correctly, on experience with compliance, and on the first cases of enforcement. We have come a long way. Just a few years ago, outside of the data protection community, many were arguing that the idea of privacy in the digital era was outdated. They said it was a European obsession, that people do not care about their personal data, and that legislation is not the right way to deal with such an issue. Well, the success of this conference, the number of participants and the diversity of speakers, and maybe a little unexpected but promising announcements from some US participants proves them wrong. Furthermore, massive data breaches and the mishandling of personal data in the Facebook Cambridge Analytica case sent shockwaves through our democratic systems and remind us what is at stake, from preserving our most intimate sphere to protecting the functioning of our democracies and ensuring the sustainability of our increasingly data-driven economy. That is where the main theme of this conference, digital ethics, comes in. Ethics bring together between these different dimensions of privacy by making sure that any activity involving the processing of data remains fair for every individual. And I'm very pleased that we don't only discuss legal aspects, even though I am myself a lawyer, but we focus this year on something more tangible for people, the ethics. The success of our efforts to bring privacy to the core of the debate will only succeed if people will use their rights or demand new ones. The General Data Protection Regulation, the GDPR, is the EU's response to new challenges. I am sure that we made the right choice to modernize and harmonize Europe's privacy rules. But Europe is not alone. There are signs of developing convergence at international level. A growing number of countries around the world are adopting rules that have elements in common with the GDPR. Their rules are comprehensive, applying across industries and sectors, They comprise of a core set of enforceable rights, and they provide for enforcement by an independent supervisory authority. Also, more countries are becoming members of the Council of Europe's Convention 108. But we should not be surprised that privacy and data security are becoming truly global issues. In Brussels, Seoul, New Delhi, Brasilia, Tokyo, Pretoria, and now in also Capitol Hill, hopefully, and Silicon Valley, we all face similar challenges and want to seize similar opportunities of the digital economy. Apple and Facebook has strongly recognized this yesterday in this very conference. Of course, I welcome these announcements, and I hope this will materialize in their constructive approach in the US debate. People around the world want their privacy protected. Consumers want their data to be safe. And businesses recognize that strong privacy protections give them a competitive advantage as confidence in their services increases. The developing convergence in privacy standards in international level offers the new opportunities to facilitate data flows and therefore also international trade. It also improves the level of protection of personal data when transferred abroad. The recent agreement reached with Japan on a mutual adequacy finding, for instance, will create the world's largest area of free and safe data flows. And I am sure the Japanese adequacy finding sets an example for future partnerships with other countries. Fostering the convergence also means that we can also learn from each other. The exchange of experience and best practices with other systems can help with the implementation of the GDPR, for example. A dialogue and exchange of experience is dynamic and mutually beneficial. It is crucial for understanding emerging legal and technological solutions and for addressing new challenges that are becoming more global in nature and in scope. That is why we need forums like this one, which gathers privacy regulators, practitioners, technologists, and academics from all over the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, 5 months since the application of the GDPR, what we have learned. For companies, compliance with the GDPR gave them the chance to put their data house in order. They had to take a closer look at what they were collecting, what they use it for, how to keep and share it, and to reflect on the need to collect and process all this data. In doing these checks, companies have often reduced their exposure to unnecessary risks. They have also a better idea of the data they hold, and they can build a trusting relationship with their customers and commercial partners. Citizens have also benefited from the GDPR. Data protection authorities have told us that the number of complaints has risen since the rules entered into application. And NGOs working in data protection have started to bring collective actions before data protection authorities and courts. Lastly, the key to success of the GDPR are, in my view, the data protection authorities. I believe it is now clear to everyone, including the alarmists, that the data protection authorities did not become sanctioning machines overnight on the 25th of May, when the GDPR came into force. Let me stress that fines are only one of the tools DPAs can use to enforce the GDPR, and they can use it only after a thorough investigation of the facts and always bearing in mind the specific circumstances of each case. These first few months have shown us that compliance is a dynamic process, and it involves close dialogue between regulators and stakeholders. In the last 2 years, they have adopted 18 sets of detailed guidelines on all aspects of the GDPR, following broad public consultations to which many non-European companies even participated. I understand this work will continue as new questions emerge, and I want to praise the DPAs for their active and open engagement with stakeholders. It is essential for the data protection authorities to forge a common EU approach. Therefore, the European Commission will pursue its active support to the work of the European Data Protection Board, whose guidelines are key for assisting stakeholders to implement the GDPR. It is a big task for all of us, the regulators, to ensure consistency of the rules across the 28 countries of the European Union. To conclude, I want to be clear that the GDPR is not just a set of obligations. It is an opportunity for businesses and individuals to build trust and to revolutionize culture surrounding data practices, not only by legal compliance, but also by changing and embracing privacy ethics. In June next year, I will organize an event to take stock where we are 1 year since the application of the GDPR. And ethical aspects here will be the key in order not to abuse the new powers or in order not to undermine the new obligations. Ladies and gentlemen, the GDPR takes a modern approach to regulation by empowering users and rewarding new ideas, methods, and technologies while addressing people's genuine privacy and data security concerns. I wish you a successful conference and fruitful exchanges, which I look forward to hearing about. Thank you.